back to episode 30 of the Pro Series podcast. I'm Eric Dillman, and on today's episode, I talk with HGTV's Torie Gregg Smith. A few months back, I got to talk to Shay Holland on the podcast, who is also a part of the Unfinished Business cast crew with Greg. Greg tells me about his role on the show and also get to talk to his wife, Torie, who also plays a big behind-the-scenes role in the show. We also get to talk about their latest project and when we can expect it to drop. But before we start, like always, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the Pro Series podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. But now it's time to start episode 30 with Torie and Gregg Smith.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you doing?
How are you?
Good. I'm glad I could get both of you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, with me it'd be very boring, but since you have Torie, it'll be a good one.
I doubt that. I feel like you both are very interesting people.
How's it going?
It's going well. How about you guys?
Good, thank you.
Good. We're having warm weather. How about Pennsylvania?
It's warm for early March, but still too cold for me. I think it was like 36 degrees today. So at least it's not snow.
Where are you in Pennsylvania?
Pittsburgh.
My brother lives in Corey.
I don't know where that is. Where is that?
I think it's off Lake Erie, up closer to New York.
I guess what most people say.
They get a lot of snow then.
They do. Pittsburgh's such a cool town. My niece and nephew went to college there, so I was always visiting them.
Okay.
But it's really beautiful.
Yeah, where did they go?
My niece went to Duquesne, and my nephew, I can't remember where he went.
Okay. Yeah, very good school. Very good school. Awesome. Well, again, thank you for having taken some time out of your day to come on here. I first want to talk about you both, how you guys got into business together and how you guys started designing and being a contractor. Kind of just start from the beginning and even the origin, like how you fell in love with it even before you even started your professional career.
I think I got into this business because Greg and I were always buying a house and flipping it.
Okay.
And that's how I started learning how to do everything. We bought our first house when we were 19, and it was a hunk of crap. So we had to really start working on it.
So you didn't go to school for design. It was just kind of something you fell in love with as you bought houses and started flipping them?
I went to school for clothing design.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not the same thing, but you learn about different elements and how to put things together. And
it's in the same family though. I remember I went to a college in Indiana, PA, and our school had fashion within interior design. So we're very close niched fields.
For sure.
Yeah. So do you like the decor side of it, or do you actually like the architectural interior design part of it?
I actually like both equally. I end up doing a lot more of the construction side, but when we're doing television stuff, I do construction behind the scenes and then design for the shows.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I very much enjoy both.
Yeah. I mean,
and I really like making, I love making rugs and, everything that goes with design.
Okay, actually making them handmade.
Yeah, I have a rug tufting gun. And so I have a giant frame with fabric on it. And then I use this tufting gun and it makes legitimate carpets. It's pretty cool.
That is really cool. I've never heard anybody that did that. I mean, obviously it has to be done, but I never thought about that. That's pretty cool. And that gives it a nice personal touch to your design as well.
Yeah, and also silk screening too. So then I can silk screen a design that goes with the rugs onto wallpaper or onto fabric for curtains or whatever we need the fabric for. So that's what I like doing.
Yeah. And then Greg, you're the contractor side of it all.
I'm the contractor side of it all, but I want to speak a little bit more on what else Torie does for projects. So Torie will find something and say, oh, well, we're going to take this cabinet, we're going to cut it up, we're going to add this, we're going to put this together, and it will be entirely different than what you grabbed off the shelf at IKEA. So she also has a really good eye for, I don't want to say repurposing, but definitely upscaling a lot of very common looking things. So that's another thing that she really brings to the project. And I think that's probably that's the thing I'm most in awe of.
Thank you.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of creative minded people like that could go into different fields and go into other creative outlooks to use their right out of the brain more than others can.
Yeah, I feel like creative types, no matter what they see, they imagine what else could be done with the item they're looking at.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, your brain never stopped working? Like you're always thinking 100%. Of creating something else?
All the time. That's all I think about.
My brain makes my body tired. I wish it would stop sometimes.
I was even thinking today, my dog came in, it's kind of soupy outside because of melting snow. And I had just put a white duvet on our bed and my dog came in and jumped on it and like ran around and just ruined it. And I was thinking, if I wash it and I bleach it, then I silk screen this onto it. And then like I just immediately think of how else it could work.
It's a very cool thing to do when you're professional, like thinking of new ways and ways to make yourself look better. But when you're sitting in your house and figuring out other projects to do,
I know
you're like, you don't have a big enough wallet to do that. You're just you just need to shut it off for a little bit.
If you looked into our kitchen right now, you would see the kitchen that we're building that gets finished next week.
Yeah.
Like everything is
countertops, dishwasher. What else do we need in there?
Half the cabinets.
Backsplash. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's coming along. So
do you find your personal home projects are on the back burner and they take longer just because you're professional career, you're doing this all the time?
Actually, I disagree. We usually have a limited amount of time to get something done. So I think we wait until we have everything ready, everything's designed. We'll have 2 weeks off or something and we'll just bust out a kitchen, which is what we're doing here.
Dang. Jeez. So are you guys doing all the work?
Oh, yeah.
We have the cabinets made, but we're doing everything else.
Perfect. And Greg, you have you always been in love with the contractor side of things?
Yeah, I grew up in a construction family, so I was always following my dad around to job sites and things like that. And then when I actually became helpful, then I would get a job. And then, you're a kid in high school and you can either go work at a fast food place or you can go work with your dad and make twice as much money. So then that kind of starts. And fortunately for me, I really like the finished product. I really have become like a much bigger fan of the process. So I enjoy every stage. I want to know everything about every single stage, which is why I became a building inspector for a number of years. But it's just very intriguing to me. I'm also that boring guy that's going to sit there and watch YouTube about or YouTube video about how a huge bridge is made or something like that, because I just love the engineering. I love seeing how people do these things.
Absolutely. So do you find yourself, I mean, this is actually something we talked about on the phone and over email, finding a good designer and a good contractor, and pairing them up is very, very beneficial. I feel like as a designer, I struggle with finding a contractor. Not that I find a lot that are good. It's just hard with the communication. It's like they have a communication barrier or something. And it's vice versa. A contractor has the same problem with a designer. What is your opinion on having a designer and a contractor be on the same page and working well together? And why is that so important to you guys?
I think it's important. A lot of times my job is I'm also a general contractor, but I do usually finish work but mostly paperwork and coordinating and purchasing and stuff. So a lot of times it's hard with designers because I think they don't understand something as small as a sink or a tile decision or
shower valve
or something so minute that seems like something you'd put in at the end holds up a whole job. And so because of this small situation, now you have subcontractors that you've now lost because they have to move on to another job, and it's very hard to communicate that.
And then on the other side of that coin is exactly what you said. The communication from a contractor back to the designer Absolutely. A lot of times is extremely lacking. You have to remember, contractors, we grew up, we owned pickup trucks, we bought boats, we play music out on job sites. And at the end of the day, we go home, and we're the guys who tell the homeowners what they can't do, and the designers are the ones who tell them what they can do. Yeah. So there's definitely a huge disconnect. And what we have learned over the years is it's really important to get the designer in at certain stages of the job too. Mm-hmm. So just because you're done with the design work, you moved on to construction, doesn't mean there shouldn't be a lot of site visits, dropping in, because
coordinating,
the view that the homeowner and the designer put together, it could be going a little bit sideways, if the tile's set vertically instead of horizontally, or I think there's a real need to have everybody on the team stay at the whole time.
So much communication.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Communication.
That brings up a big point, because I know a lot of designers that they do it, but they're more on the sales side of it. So they're worried about the next sale. So they're just keep these rotation of jobs going. So they don't think about going back and with the impact of going back to the job site and or talking to the contractor all the way through, like giving our lead times nowadays, people aren't getting jobs done for months out. So easy to forget about, but it's not a very good business way to work as a designer or a contractor. But like you said about the designer not knowing about a valve or something, I think we get lost in the aesthetic look of something.
Absolutely.
And
why would you know about it? That's not your job.
Exactly. And that's another thing, having a good relationship with a contractor to figure out how their design can work. And I feel like, I don't know if this is a thing, since I've been a designer, we have to order everything. So you're putting everything on an addendum sheet, but some of them that I've worked with, they're just doing renderings basically in a floor plan. So, I mean, it's just kind of figuring out how that person works before you agree to work with them is a big thing as well.
Yeah, sometimes it's important to have a checklist. It works well with us because I'm also on the construction side of it. So I can anticipate what needs to be ordered or what has to be here by a certain date. But sometimes having a checklist, both a designer and a contractor, with the different, even minute steps that will be coming up and what's needed to complete that next step or the next 5 steps, that's so important.
Oh, definitely. I think project management is a huge thing for both sides. Yeah, I wish I learned that in college.
I know. Why don't they teach that?
I don't know.
I mean, maybe they do. I just didn't come across it.
I didn't learn it. I feel I went to a 4-year degree, so I have a bachelor's degree in interior design. But I feel like there's so many fields you could go into interior design. It's hard to teach every single thing, but I feel like project management and finances are a huge part of the design job. It'd be awesome to learn about that.
That's something important to talk about with clients too, both contractors and designers. I think because of television, people think I'm going to build a new kitchen and it's going to cost $30,000 or, and you think your tile and your materials are more than that. So, yes, it's very unrealistic.
So I would like to speak about the HGTV and the DIY, formats and stuff like that. I think there are fantastic things that come from sharing ideas and showing people what they can do. But then I also think that you have a lot of people that have gone a little bit too far on the other side, and they think they can design, build, do all that stuff. And then, they do get into trouble. And I think you really need to know where your skill set lies, what you can't do, and then when it's time to pull the trigger and hire qualified people.
But I think because of those shows, they don't know that they don't know.
Yeah, I think we get that a lot.
Oh, definitely. TV's only going to show you the good parts. So you're not seeing all the challenges behind the scenes. So people just think they could do everything.
Absolutely. And why isn't there a television show? The created drama for television shows would be so much better if they showed the actual nail biting over, some wiring being completed before the drywallers come in, or,
I totally
that's the legitimate drama.
Yeah, it'd be,
and it's on every job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's relatable to the actual situation in hand, like us watching it.
Absolutely.
I feel like I liked those type of shows more before I became a designer. And now, I still watch them for the aesthetic, just to get more ideas and stuff. But it's definitely a different viewing experience now.
For sure. It all boils down to the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Torie and I were watching a show the other night, and it took place in this old courtroom. And there was some really beautiful marble on the wall, like the old, I don't know if it was, had like a nice gray brown to it, and it was hewn over time. And, it was probably installed like the turn of the 19th century. And we kept, the show's going on, and we kept commenting on how neat the marble was and how nice the tile work was.
The ironwork was amazing.
The ironwork was neat. We're like, oh, look at it. And then, we missed the entire show. So we're total design nerds and material nerds.
Or on the other hand, you're watching something that has a timestamp on it, and you'll think they didn't have corrugated metal in 1720. What's that doing there?
Oh yeah.
You can't help but noticing everything all the time.
That drives me crazy.
Right?
Yeah, because like they're doing like a historic house or something. They say they're trying to put it back into the time period it was built, and they're putting like a white kitchen with shaker cabinets and marble countertops. And, you totally missed that one.
Well, in our the last place we lived, San Clemente, California, was right next to San Juan Capistrano, and California has all the missions that kind of go up the coast. Yeah. And San Juan Capistrano is one of the oldest settlements in the United States. It was there like mid 1700s or a little bit later. But we would go in and we would actually have projects in adobe houses. So we would have to find the guy who paid attention to putting straw inside the plaster, because you're not going to mix up adobe, because the building inspector is never going to go for that. No. And then you have to burn it so that it looks like it's been there for a long time. Then you can go over with your whitewashing and stuff. But you get to a point with some stuff where you really, really have to pay attention to detail. Otherwise, you'll miss the whole look of a, in this case, like a historic building.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you do have to pay attention.
Oh yeah, I've run into a couple jobs where contractors or homeowners get a historic loan out of the bank, and they don't understand how many rules there are to that. Like what percentage of the house needs to stay the same way. How much new stuff you put in the home, and I'm so glad they have those rules for those.
Oh, for sure. Also, they don't realize all of the time it takes to get everything approved.
Oh yeah. And to get the correct sashes on your windows, and to get, the correct, I don't know,
soapstone lintel,
wrought iron or whatever. Yeah. Yes. There you go.
That's another thing you don't see. You don't see all of those hurdles that you have to jump through pretty much for every job.
Right. Wouldn't you love to see that on a show?
I would. Yeah. I don't know.
I would too. I feel like everyone would.
No, we're the only three who want to see that. Everybody else wants to see the reveal. Yeah. They want to see smiles. And then they want to hang out and watch someone buy a house in Cancun.
Yeah. Just live vicariously through them. But I feel like a lot of the people in our field would love to watch a show like that.
I think they would too.
I think so,
I think it would make a lot of people feel better about projects that they're doing or will be doing, knowing that everyone struggles with these same exact problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. Relatable. So, Greg, how did you start getting onto HGTV? How did that segue?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, how did you segue into that?
A few years back, my daughter and I were doing a little improv class at a local South Coast rep, South Repertory. Anyway, this place in Irvine. She really wanted to take it. She was only 17, and I go, look, we'll fudge your form. I'll go with you. And we had a great time. And somebody in class said, hey, you should check out this website. They're always looking for contractors and, people like that. And I grew up watching
This Old House.
Because I'm a huge Norm Abram fan. I like Bob too, but I'm a huge Norm Abram fan. And, just kind of thinking back on that, I guess as a kid, that kind of made me think, wait a minute, I should be the guy explaining how things are done, in the way that I want to explain it, as opposed to watching Bob or watching Norm or, whomever. So it just kind of started from there, and I went on to the next job, Most recently, we had a really busy year, actually during COVID, which was producing a show during COVID is an entirely different can of worms than any other time. So that would have been a really good one to film.
A film of the filming the filming.
Filming the filming.
Yeah.
But it was my second series for HGTV. I was the contractor on it. It was called Unfinished Business. I think it's on streaming right now on Discovery. Had a really great cast. Torie helped us with all our behind the scenes stuff. We did 4 projects in 6 weeks, and this was during COVID. The projects were about 100 miles from each other in the LA Basin area. And this was also during the holidays. So you can only imagine.
My God.
The availability of stuff.
We actually had, for a reveal, we actually had to rent a refrigerator that was the same as the refrigerator that the homeowner was going to get, because their refrigerator wasn't ready yet. So there's a little behind the scene magic for you right there. So we actually had to rent the darn thing.
Dang.
But we both met Michael Matsumoto, awesome executive producer. He believed in us, and he later hired me to go down to Alabama, and I spent 8 weeks with those guys last year, doing all the all the construction production work for Battle on the Beach. And that was #1 on HGTV, I think, for like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that. So
yeah, that was a great show.
And then that rolled into our current project.
Yeah. Before we get into that, because I'm excited to learn more about that current project, but I talked to Shay Holland, who was on Unfinished Business with you. I did that February of last year, but I wasn't able to upload it until a couple weeks ago. But yeah, she told me a lot about the hurdles that you guys had to do with testing and all that stuff. It would have been cool to have, like you said, someone filming the filming, because we talk about like people like you, Torie, that are behind the scenes, the stuff that you don't see in the show. That would be so cool to like post those episodes after that whole season's over.
I know, that's serious drama.
And Torie was working with an entirely different guideline at that time too, as well as myself and Shay also. We could not get COVID. Absolutely 100% cannot get COVID, but you still have to go get countertops. You have to source tile. You have to run Home Depot when you need whatever you need. You have to deal with subcontractors who may have been tested, may or may not have been tested.
May have not believed in masks.
But that's okay. You're going to let them do their thing. But yeah, we actually, and I don't know if Shay mentioned this, we actually had one of our families come down with COVID. COVID went through the house, and the gentleman in the house, he actually died from COVID. And this was like a week before reveal. So we had to set the reveal time back 2 weeks. We were all extremely leery and, worried about going on camera with them and being unmasked. And unfortunately, nothing happened. But, if you stop a production, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
it's expensive. Yeah, it's not cool.
Was that covered in one of the episodes?
No, I think we missed it. It's a little bit of a morbid detail. So, my heart really goes out to the owner. And, we met this gentleman a few times, really nice guy. But unfortunately.
Yeah, you didn't make it.
Yeah, I didn't make it.
That's such a shame. That's so sad. How did Sorry, but it's more the stuff we deal with. No, that's again
behind the scenes drama.
Exactly. We should have a show behind the show.
Wow. Right?
Wow.
So also kind of getting back to your question, would you have a designer on a job? So for example, we had Shay for that series. Shay and Torie get to work together to really bridge that gap with communication, because I'm working with subs, I'm all over the place. I have to be on camera. But Torie really gets to help in filling in the gaps, making sure we have all the pieces that we need, making sure we're able to rent a refrigerator because we
that was the least of our problems.
Yeah. So just all the little parts and pieces, they all kind of get thrown back onto Torie. But it was a great team effort. Very proud of the show, and I'm very proud of what we're able to do with the time frame and our budgets and things like that. So.
Absolutely, it's a great show. Everyone needs to go watch Unfinished Business.
Thank you.
One thing I've always wanted to know: how do you? I mean, obviously, there's multiple episodes of a season of HGTV show. How do you handle recording all of those at the same time, or are they done all at the same time? Because there's obviously a lot large.
Yes, they are. They're all at the same time.
I can't imagine
that is it's pretty tough, especially each of the locations for that series in particular were so far apart. I mean, 100 miles in some cases. And so you're filming one day at one location, one day at another location. You'll have a day off that you're using to get contractors in to do the work that everyone thinks the homeowners are doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of running around. It's a lot of late nights, no sleeping, no time off, just organizing just so much organizing.
One of the really cool things, like I said, we got to work with two really amazing producers, Michael Matsumoto and Graham Wiggins. And Graham is from Good Bones. He's the executive producer over there. Okay. And Michael was from Chip and Joanna's show. I can't remember.
Oh, Fixer Upper.
Fixer
Upper. Okay. Yeah. So he ran their show for 8 years. And the thing that was really cool about our relationship was immediately they realized that, Greg and Torie can handle all this stuff. So the neat thing about working with Michael and Graham also was that they were like, well, tell us where we're going to be. This is how we want to set this up. Where should we go shoot? Where should we take a B crew, or where should we go get B-roll on these days? And then just make sure you're telling us all the time where we are, so we can find those elements and we can create the shows. So sometimes we want to keep moving forward on a bathroom remodel, but we might have to stop and wait so that we can do tile work, but the tile guy doesn't want to leave this job and go start someplace else. So,
or sometimes you have to stop mid-work because a camera crew needs to come in the next day because they want to capture what's being done that day. So you can't complete what you needed to complete that day to move on to the next thing they need to film because they needed to film the prior day's work.
Is there
plus there's a lot of
crews?
I'm sorry?
Is there multiple camera crews that because you're obviously having the different jobs at one, there's only one set?
This one we had one. Because of COVID, because of our time frame. There's several different reasons that we were on it. We had a skeleton crew to work with. But basically we had B-roll being set up, which is basically no talking and all that kind of stuff, just kind of showing what's going on. And then we had a main camera crew that was following myself, Tom, and Shay to all the different sites, and we would go do our pieces, whatever they were that particular day at the different sites.
I have to take a cake out of the oven really quickly. I'm so sorry. I keep looking.
Fine.
I'm like, it's getting burned. I gotta
You're fine.
Just 1 second.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Greg, so
we're multitaskers. What can I say?
Hey, that's how I'm working too. I still have my phone on for if a client calls. Segue into this latest project that you're working on now. I want to hear more about that one.
Okay. I'm going to wait till the designer gets back over here.
Absolutely.
You know what? I'm just going to take it out. I can finish baking.
You can take a break in 10 minutes.
No, it's all right.
All right. Oh shoot, we're just blabbing away. Sorry, Eric.
I know.
No, you're good. There's no time. There's no time for this. Perfect.
Okay, so our project with No Barriers kind of came up because we went to see a movie called Weight of Water. And Weight of Water is about an athlete named Eric Wademeyer. I always have trouble with pronouncing his last name, but he's a blind athlete that basically will take on any challenge. He's the first guy that climbed the first blind guy that climbed Mount Everest. And then
solo kayaked the Grand Canyon.
So we watched this movie where he solo kayaked the Grand Canyon 300 miles. I don't know. It was something amazing. And so at the end we noticed that the place that he's affiliated with, he also helped start No Barriers. It was in our town. So I just walked in off the street and I said, hey, my wife and I are interested in volunteering. What can we do? And now here we are building a campus. So yeah. I guess that's kind of where it ended up.
Yeah. And you're getting this all on film?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This is all, I'm sorry. Yeah. I need to go back. So this is also our next project that we're working on. This is for PBS.
Okay.
And this tells the story about the facility that's being constructed to help the new kids who are, growing up, or veterans, or anybody who wants to get into the outdoors, but it's problematic because they're differently abled or for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what No Barriers does. They empower people to get out and overcome their Everest, and
and they can come with their community too.
Yeah,
they're caretakers and
okay.
And they can rock climb, they can go on a ropes course, they can hike out in nature, even if they're in a wheelchair. Makes me a little teary because it's so cool.
It's amazing.
This is really, it's really important to us that this turns out right. So from the beginning of this project, they were kind of on the wrong path. The building was wrong. The use of the open space was wrong, all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that we did early on was we helped redesign the whole campus.
Wow.
That came with some other challenges too, because we have a very short building window in the Rocky Mountains,
and it's 100% off grid as well. Yet still needs to have a commercial kitchen and facilities, bathhouse, toilets, everything for people with all abilities. So too much left. Sorry.
That's okay. So not only are we creating, the structures and things like that, where a normal contractor would just hook up to electricity, hook up to water, hook up to sewer, we have to develop all those utilities. So we put a huge solar array up there. There is a well that is on the property. We're upgrading the cisterns, which are the water storage, upgrading the leach fields and septic areas. It's a huge task, but it's well worth it. It's been so much fun, and it's just wonderful to see it coming together.
I can't wait for everyone to see it. It's amazing.
And
it can facilitate up to 50 people at a time.
Wow.
So it's pretty fantastic.
So are people going to be staying there, or are they just basically go there for activity wise?
It's a camp.
Gotcha.
So you would go stay for a weekend or a week, or whatever your program is that you're going to be doing up there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we kind of have a little bit of a hybrid of a of like a glamping and just a camping facility. We have to have a commercial kitchen. We have to have a bathhouse.
All accessible.
All accessible. And then we had to have an admin building with a first aid center. And then the final thing that we are installing is an outdoor classroom, which we're still kind of designing. We want to put a living roof on it and do some other things to talk about the not ecology. What word am I looking for? Ecosystem. Yeah. So that, we can teach ecosystem things and stuff like that up there. But basically the whole place still needs to feel like camp. So if you're camping there,
luxurious camp.
Yeah. If you're camping there, we have these great big pads that we created, huge decks, and you have a tent area. So
they're metal framed canvas giant tents on these raised pads with ramps to them, sprinkled all through the forest with paths accessible with wheelchairs.
Yeah, everything has to be 100% accessible as well. So we've created miles of accessible trails. We have a ropes course that's entirely accessible. We have a lift mechanism that gets folks up to the 40-foot deck
with
so that
trapezes
they can zip line. It's just everybody has to be everywhere is basically the crux of it.
That's amazing. So we'll see that all of that from the start where you guys started at where they were before you got there to the finished product in this new PBS show.
Yeah, we actually are going to really be focusing on athletes because this camp it's kind of a vehicle, or it's a tool for people to get out and just enjoy the outdoors. People who wouldn't ordinarily get to, take a stroll or wheel through one of our trails or things like that. So although our big piece is the camp, we're not the big piece of no barriers. We're just doing our part to help everybody do what they want to do and be out in nature.
That's awesome. I can't wait for that. When is that expected, or is there's no date yet?
No date yet, but we will be filming. We've been filming for about a year now. This is a process, and then we will probably be filming till about the middle of summer. So I would say probably fall.
Okay. Dang, I can't wait to see that. That's so cool. I love that so much.
I know, it's so great.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have this around you guys, but we have like a baseball league for that. So it's like in our area called Miracle League, and it's a rubberized field that's completely accessible for anybody in a wheelchair, anything.
That's awesome.
And it came to my area probably like I was in middle school, and you could volunteer to help them out. So you're their buddy and you help them around the base, hit the ball. So it allows the parents to actually sit in the bleachers to watch their kid play a game, which is awesome. Allowing them to do a sport that they wouldn't.
What every kid gets to do.
Exactly. Let them, and it's announced. They announce them. They sing the national anthem. It's like it's even better than a little league game. In all honesty, they're playing music. It's awesome.
I'd probably just cry the whole time.
I'm sure I would.
I love that. Yeah.
So one of the really, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so that, along with other programs, very awesome. But we think that just helping folks get out in nature and stuff like that, that's kind of where our hearts are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we ended up.
Yeah, I love that. Do you find yourself bringing a lot of nature into your designs as well?
I feel like I do.
Yeah, we're like avid outdoors people, I guess. I don't know what to call us. But we love camping. We love fishing. Ocean. I mean, if it's out in nature, we want to be there.
Yeah.
Skiing, wintertime, summertime, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think a lot of that because we want to be outdoors, we want to create patio spaces, and we want to create cool elements where you can sit down and maybe just kind of take in a landscape or something like that, or, be inspired by a tree or, whatever it may be. So absolutely. Yes.
I don't know if you feel this way, but when you're designing a space, my biggest thing I want to have are just different little hangout areas for people. And it doesn't have to be, fancy or built into anything, but if there's any way to work out a little area for people to hang out, it's always everyone's favorite spot. And we had a house in San Clemente that had so many fantastic spots. I mean, there were so many great areas to just hang out. And we found that there were just people at our house all the time that wanted to just come over and hang out, like in this one area by the avocado tree, or this one area that was gravelly with fire and had a million plants around it. Or, they're just these different hangout spots, and parties ended up being very cool because everyone found a place, and then it would rotate and you'd go hang out in another area. And I just feel inside a house, outside a house, that's everyone's favorite.
And this is actually a big element that we're using when we're designing camp as well. So if you want to have an intimate group, you want to have maybe 5 to 8 people in an area, we're accommodating that. If it's a bigger gathering space, we're accommodating that, and they're all over the campus. So we're incorporating sound elements because we do have people that are blind, but we have this great echo and we have this really neat pasture area. And if you set drums up in 3 or 4 different colors, 3 or 4 different corners, then you get like a swirling effect from the music.
That's very
and
cool.
We've got all these, just all these really interesting elements, and she's the one who takes advantage of all of them.
Yeah.
Those things just make everybody happy.
Oh yeah. And most of your memories are made when you're with people. So having different entertainment spots, that's a big thing with me, like thinking about like a dream house one day. I don't want just a family room. I want to have, basements are huge in the Pittsburgh area, like having, at least in my family as well, like entertainment spot in the basement. But it's very important to me, like having outdoor spaces, entertainment, multiple, so you can have people over and create memories, because that's what it's all about. And that's what us as designers want to create for our clients.
For sure. Yeah. And outdoors too, it's so easy with designing a yard, creating little nooks with trees or seating. I don't know. I think
fire pit. Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a big thing now is just the outdoor entertainment space, like a fireplace and couches around it or something like that.
Oh, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the hardest part about living in Colorado. Our house that we moved from was shaped like an L. And so in the front of the house, the L opened up to a yard that was fenced, so we could completely use that. But there was also in the back. So our whole house opened up with air blowing through it. And it was so wonderful. And I hadn't realized, it sounds silly, but I hadn't realized you really can't do stuff for quite a bit of the year.
Yeah. It's the same way in Pittsburgh. You can only do it for so many months of the year, and then your outdoor space is useless.
Yeah, I really have been spoiled never having given that a thought. I didn't know your stuff completely dies down, and that's the end until spring.
So one of the things that we are doing right now, Eric, is we're redesigning our backyard, our patio area, and we're going to have a section of it where we're going to incorporate like a very industrial looking glass door. So like when you go out to the bars in the summertime and they roll the big garage doors up on, on the ends. Yeah. And this is something I've done in people's homes before, mostly in Southern California. But we're going to do this on our patio so that we can still close it up, still have a fire in the wintertime, but then in the summertime we can open everything up and we can be outdoors.
That's very
so those convertible outdoor spaces are super popular out here. I imagine they probably are in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah.
But we're trying to incorporate them into a residential application, and usually they're commercial.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My parents actually have awnings below their deck that come down. They're like they're designed after a restaurant, basically. So like their outdoor patio space, you roll them down, you zip them up, so you could use them somewhat in the winter at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a heater out there.
Yep. It's not the best, but
sometimes you just need to be outside.
Yep. Fresh air and not get, that was the thing about being like COVID this past Christmas, having everybody sick and being inside all the time with everybody was the hard part. I think the hardest part.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Have you experienced right now, I know the whole supply chain situation with limited accessibility to everything that you need. I've noticed in the last, say, month, it is so hard to find everything. I mean, down to little things like fasteners and it's so sparse out there.
Yeah, I had actually last year I ordered a couch, I think it was in September, and I didn't get it until January. And the only thing missing was the coils. That was the only thing missing that they were waiting on. That's why it took so long. But yeah, those little minute things that you can't continue a job on. That's some of these jobs are delayed 8 months because of that stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's hard. I'd be like, I'm going to heat up some metal and make some springs in my garage and send them to the sofa maker.
But strip an old sofa.
We're waiting for a window for our kitchen, and it's been 4 months so far.
Yeah, and they added another 12 weeks on top of that. So it's going to be about 6 or 7 months before we actually get our window.
So we have to tile everything except for a portion east of the window.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to be over. I can't wait.
I know.
Oh my God.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for hopping on here today. I want to finish off with making sure to promote your social media pages where people could follow you at. So you go ahead with that. Just give them your Instagram handles or Facebook.
Sure. I don't know if they want to follow mine, but it's Torie, Torie, loves everything.
And mine's just Gregg J. Smith, GreggJSmith. And then we also have a Gregg and Torie page, if you want to go to that one.
Gregg and Torie on Instagram.
And then our company that we're working with right now, No Barriers USA. Please go check those guys out. Also, if you are so inclined, please make a donation.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody benefits so much from this.
All of these programs that are up there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Very, very amazing.
They definitely follow them so they could know when this posts on PBS later on in the year or next year.
For sure.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they're also going to give a shout out to you and to your show so that vice versa, so people know where to find us from No Barriers.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll post whatever. Just send me if they have fundraiser going away. I love using my page for that.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you.
You too.